Well, thank you for joining us. This is in our series of our Tuesday tips, which is a part of our mixed groups, which is our Middlesex Information Exchange. These meetings have been going on for about, maybe this is our fourth one or third one, and they'll be going on throughout July. They're all focused on different things. Last time we did one on credit card processing and fees and how to save fees. There's many different variable topics, so please check out our website to check them out and to see what else is available. They're also available if you miss one. We do record these and they are on our website under our relaunch page. So you could always catch those, when you're not busy at night and 9 o'clock at night, you just want to learn some new techniques. You're more than welcome to join us and check out the video there too. I can't say enough about Don. He's amazing. We met Don last year when we were actually going to Zoom ourselves because we weren't really familiar with anything virtual. And then of course we all had shock where we had to go virtual. So Don was really instrumental in helping us not only learn Zoom, but put a Zoom room in downstairs. So we're looking forward to when we finally get back into person. We're having our first in-person meeting tomorrow. We're utilizing our Zoom room really at capacity. So I'm excited about that and be able to actually shake people's hands maybe. So I really can't say enough about Don and what he does with HB Live. He's amazing. He's a great teacher. We had a Zoom meeting about 2 or 3 weeks ago with Don, and really I learned a lot of great techniques that we didn't learn the first time. So without further ado, Don, thank you again for joining us. We do appreciate it. And I look forward to learning more about Microsoft Teams.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. It's great to be here. And I always love teaching these sessions. Before you all joined, we were talking about me putting together some of these presentations, and I always learn something new as I'm preparing for these sessions. So without further ado, I'm going to do a quick screen share and make sure that you can see my screen. Okay, got the thumbs up. So here we go. Now, the way that I like to handle these kind of presentations is I've got about maybe 15 or 20 minutes of some slides and talking, and this is intended to be fully interactive. So at any point in time, feel free to unmute and say, hey, I got a question, or I want to insert something. If you are already familiar with Teams, you might have something to add to what I'm saying, because as Chin might know, there's so many features that are available and you can't really touch on all of them. So let me just crank right along here. As introduction, I am Don Gazakis. I'm Vice President for HB Live. We are an event production company based in North Haven, and that's really all you need to know about me. We are a Teams user, and last year when COVID hit, we were using Teams to a degree, but we really expanded our use of it, and I'll talk about our experience with that a little bit. So the great thing about Teams is that it is available as an app or on the web or on your mobile device, and it works very well and very seamlessly across all of them. So the experience that you get, whether you're on the PC app or the web version, feels very familiar, and other softwares don't necessarily have that same feeling. So I will be sharing this PowerPoint deck. So if you do need these links, you can click on it there. So our agenda for today is a really quick introduction, a little bit about getting started. We're going to talk about the features and licensing. I'm going to dive a little bit into use cases, and then I'm going to click over and I'm going to show you a demo of an actual Teams application so you can see what I'm talking about firsthand. So what is Teams? It is a really rapidly developing collaboration suite. It is part of the Microsoft Office 365 family, and it features chat and messaging, video calling, meetings, and there's some advanced things for events and webinar style, but that's not part of what we're talking about today. And with paid versions, you can get voice and telephony. So for the small business user who's looking for an all-in-one solution, Microsoft Teams is, and I apologize, my phone is ringing. It can be a really great application for communication and collaboration. As I mentioned, it is available on PC, Mac, and mobile, and works seamlessly across all of them. I know a lot of people use Zoom for their meetings and webinars, and some of you might be wondering, hey, what's really the difference between Teams and Zoom? So what I'll start with is that they were kind of born at a different level. So Zoom started out as a meeting and video platform, bolted on webinars, and now has chat and telephony. Teams was born from Microsoft collaboration and SharePoint, added the video collaboration and meetings and the telephony. So they kind of paste each other in different ways. And if you're used to using Zoom, you probably don't know much about Zoom chat. If you're used to using Teams, you probably don't know much about Teams video. So they approach things from different sides. Suffice it to say, if you are a small business or a small enterprise and you're looking for an all-in solution and you're an Office 365 subscriber, Teams is included and it's a very cost-effective way to go. If you are not already using Office 365, but you want to do a lot more video meetings, it might be worth looking at the Zoom side of the equation. So it's a really complicated formula to figure out, but they are very different. They've got very different application and very different uses, and it's worth looking at both of them. So Microsoft builds their Teams strategy in layers. So getting started at the base level and enabling chat and teams and channels for your group communication and collaboration is the foundation of it. They make it really easy to add meetings and conferencing and enable connecting to rooms similar to a video conferencing room in the enterprise. And they've recently added voice. So if you don't have a VoIP system or are looking for a really easy telephony system for a spread out workforce, you can buy all of your voice channels through Microsoft as well. And that would be considered more of an add-on and a more advanced function. Pricing and licensing, there is a free version. And that's one of the things that I really want to stress today, understanding that a lot of people are small businesses and they're looking for, they want to kind of dip their toe in the water for using this sort of collaboration. Maybe they've got a small team and they just want to increase their communication with their team in a coherent manner. So free versions available. It does require that you sign up for a Microsoft account, but you can host meetings for up to 100 people for 60 minutes at free, no charge. And chat and messaging and individual video calling is available as well. So I'm going to show you my free version from my personal email in just a moment. In the paid version, you get much more. So the meetings are more scalable. You can go up to 300 people for a 24-hour period, although I don't know that I would want to be on your meeting for 24 hours. Additionally, chat and messaging and greater file storage. There is file storage in the free version, but it's kind of limited. And I'll talk about the collaboration tools that are available in files on the paid version a little bit later on. So I'm going to pause for a moment and I'm just going to see, because I tend to talk quickly. So I'm hoping that I've got a good pace and just see if there's any questions. So far, so good? Okay. All right. So what's great about Teams? It's really easy to set up and get started with a small team of people. If everybody's in the same business, or to add individual accounts to a group of people to communicate together, very easy to do. It does extend seamlessly to all your devices. So if you use your PC and then you go out and you're on your phone and you've got Teams running, very easy and seamless, and they synchronize seamlessly. You can create specific places for departments or project teams or clients that have specific communications. It's very organized and I find it very intuitive. It does have that file storage and collaboration, so you can build a place for a specific project and have your files there, and everybody that is part of that particular team can see those files and edit those files and on any device. And additionally, there's lots of applications that can be integrated. So Microsoft has an online store where you can, many of the apps are free, but you can build project trackers, you can build to-do lists. There's other collaboration tools. In the enterprise, people are using things like Trello and Bitbucket. If you're doing coding, you can collaborate on your code. So there's lots of ways that you can integrate into the teams. So with every application, there's also a dark side. Microsoft is constantly developing the platform, and I mean constantly. And most of the updates come automatically, and you're unaware that they're being deployed. And all of a sudden, things look different, or there's a new feature that wasn't there yesterday. So, wake up in the morning, you boot up your computer, and everything's different. It's a little off-putting. So that's Microsoft. And it's just one thing to be aware of. For external users that are not regularly part of your team, so they're guests to your account that you're collaborating with, meetings are very easy, but other collaboration can be confusing to those external users if they're not using it all the time. The support community is a little harder to find. Microsoft sort of controls the data surrounding this. And while there's lots of big business and enterprise support for Microsoft Teams and Office 365, for the small business or the individual user, it's a little bit harder to find that support. If you have a very busy team or channel, and I'll get into that in just a second, where there's lots of messages, it can be very hard to follow, and you need to know where to go to see those alerts. And then if you do have a business account, as well as a personal or private account, maybe you work for an enterprise during the week, and then you have a small business on a weekend, managing the two of them together can be confusing and doesn't really seem intuitive to, at least not to me. So a couple of quick use cases. Let's talk about departmental collaboration. If you have a marketing team, HR team, your sales team, you can build it's actually called a team in Microsoft Teams to join people together and collaborate around a certain department. You can have your documentation there, and then within that team, you can build specific topic channels. You can have project-based teams. So for example, in our business this season, we have a team called Commencement, and it's for all of our university and high school commencements. And in there are all of our files and our messages surrounding those specific projects. So any of my staff that's out in the field and is looking for information on a particular project or a file can go to that particular team and get that. And then, excuse me, you can create a team surrounding a specific client. So small business or enterprise that you work with one of your key accounts, you can create a particular place where your staff and the external users from, say, the client themselves can join, create messages, have your video meetings, have your file sharing all in one place. And when we're talking about ABC company projects, that's the place to go. So it does help to build that organization. Probably should have put this up a little bit sooner in the slide deck, but some terminology. So in Microsoft Teams, the application, at the highest level, there is a team, which is a collection of people and content related to a project or some sort of an outcome. It can be private, where you're inviting only a subset of your employees or external users, or it can be public, where you create a particular team and anybody can go and find that and join it and comment in there. The next level below the team is called a channel, and that's a dedicated place within the team organized by topics. And that's the place where the conversations will happen specific to that topic. Every team starts out with one called general, and that's where the general conversation happens. And then you can add specific ones as you dive down. Chat is a private or a small group message, consider it like an instant message, that's outside of channels. So if you have a company with a bunch of people within your team, you can instant message them. Those messages will cross all of their devices, and they're persistent. You can see those messages kind of and search through them forever, and have files attached to it. You can also set up small ad hoc groups. So you could have, for me, I've got one salesperson and a project manager work together in a chat, and we can collaborate very quickly around, hey, did somebody call this client back or take care of this task, and put specific files in that chat section as well. So when you get started and you go to Microsoft, you do need to set up a Microsoft account. And I don't want you to be off put by the requirement to set this up. You just need an email address and a mobile number, and neither of them can be associated with another Microsoft account, but it's very easy to set up and create one. And when you welcome to Teams, you will be able to join or set up additional Teams organizations within your personal account. So even in the free account, you have some flexibility of setting those things up. This is just a quick screenshot of the Teams environment, and we're going to dive into a live demo in just a moment. But and from there, I'll give you a quick tour. But this is a snapshot of the actual team setting that when I created my personal team for my private email. And I made this one root team up here called Gazakas LLC, and that's the foundation of the team in my particular account. Okay, before I click over to a live demo, I'm just going to pause for a second, see if you have any questions or thoughts. How am I doing? All right, I got a thumbs up. I'm going to, whoops, I want to do that. Okay. All right, so we are in Microsoft Teams itself, and you can see the layout of the screen. So, and just confirming, you can see this, this Teams with the three. Okay, thank you, Haley. All right, left side of the screen is your different sections. So the top activity, this is, remember I mentioned before the difficulty in tracking a lot of different messages. If there's a ton of messages being activated in your account, this activity for every message that gets gets added, there will be an activity number associated with it there. So this is the place to go to kind of see all of the recent activity that you might have in your Teams account. Chat is that private chat area, and my account is connected actually with my business. So I have a private one for my personal email, and I have an external user connected right now, which is to my business email address. And just to show you that you can have these internal and external connections with people and message them very seamlessly. The team is the core of the Teams environment. So this is where you create this highest level team, Gazakas LLC, and below that are channels. So at the highest level, at the highest level, you create this team, and you can add different people to it, and then add individual channels to it to create topical discussions. I'll get to that in just a second. Also within Teams is a place that you can set up your meetings. So just like you would in Outlook or Google or other calendar tools, you can or Zoom, you can create a meeting invitation and send that out to a variety of people, whether they're internal or external. And Haley and I were speaking before we started the session about how she's joined many external meetings as a Teams user. Very easy to join them. And this is where the power for the small business comes in, because you can easily set up a meeting, invite your client, now they're on video, and you can interact with them live. It's very seamless. You can also do Meet Now, which is an instant video meeting with somebody on your team or externally. and it sort of treats it like a FaceTime call, right? Their device will ring, and they can join the call on video. Calls is a record of the calls that you have made or received within the Teams environment. And then files is the collection of all of the files that are within your Teams environment. In the free environment, there's a limited number of storage, so you have to be careful about what files you put up there. But with the paid version, Office 365, I think you start with 1 terabyte, and that's a lot of data. So not too hard. So let me go back here to Teams for a moment. And before I move on, I'll just pause again, see if there's a question or a thought. Okay, I'm going to keep on going. Okay, so we have a team. It's my company. We have a general channel. That's where we can create messages and conversations specific for the people within my organization. Now, right now, I don't have anybody in my organization, so it's a little hard to demonstrate this. But if you wanted to add another layer or topic, you simply go to your channel, your team, and add another channel and give it a name. So, in this case, I could have a channel for the Middlesex Chamber. Right? I can give it a quick description to help people find it, and set the privacy for whether I want people to be able to find this or keep it private. And then add the channel, and now I've got this additional layer of organization within my particular team. You can from here you can add files, as I mentioned. So you can basically click and drag a file to here, and anybody within your organization can see and share those files as well. One of the power of Office 365 is the ability for multiple people to view and or edit the file at the same time and be able to see and collaborate on the document. So there's some really great power to that.
Hey, Don.
Yeah.
There was a quick question in the chat.
Okay.
I don't know where. Okay. Is there a breakout option when conducting a meeting on Microsoft Teams?
There absolutely is. Yes. So that's a recent addition. So I want to say it's within the last, what month is it? May. So I think it was in the March release of Teams that they enabled breakout rooms. They do function differently than Zoom breakout rooms. And honestly, we haven't done a lot with them. So, the short answer is yes, breakout rooms are available with Microsoft Teams meetings, but it does function differently than Zoom.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
Maybe it's a good idea for a future workshop.
Could very well be. So let's see. So at this point, I'd like to kind of steer it back to our audience and kind of see where you'd like to go. So I know we've only got, is there just 3 or 4 people on here? And Chin, I know that you're probably an expert enterprise user.
I have a question though. I have a question. At the present time, how many squares or people can you get on at the same time on the display?
On the gallery view?
On the gallery.
So if I remember correctly, you're still locked into, I gotta think about this. So on the gallery view in Teams, I believe that you can go up to 7x7. And then they also have some, so it'd be 49 people, just like you can with Zoom.
Okay, wow. When I first started this early in the year, last year, it was only 3 people at a time. But now we're 7x7. That's 49. Wow.
Yep.
They've improved a lot then.
Yeah, they're constantly making improvements. The other thing that you may have seen on some of the TV commercials is that they have these virtual settings. So you can create a, it looks like an auditorium where people can kind of see each other next to each other as opposed to them being in boxes.
Yes.
That's being enabled in Zoom next month
Oh,
with
okay.
a couple of different layouts and settings.
Got it. Excellent.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I'd add too, Don, that I've been using Teams since the beginning, and they have really improved. And just like Chin was saying, there was only a couple people available in the beginning, which honestly I didn't mind that much because you could kind of hide a little easier. But they've really updated it, and as you said, you were exactly right as well in terms of the updates can be pretty frustrating because they update a lot, and all of a sudden one morning you could be holding a meeting and everything is a little bit different, and it could be tough. But once you get used to it, they do them for a reason. They're improving the experience in general. So it's been pretty good over the last year, I think. And you've given me a couple good ideas too, so thank you for that. With the key accounts and just really some of the filing that you just showed as well.
Mhm. Great, thank you. Marcy, you have a question?
I did. We also kind of started using Teams fairly early on, but we had the same fight that Chin was talking about with people wanting to use Zoom, specifically when we had external users and guests coming on. So we still only use Zoom if it's going to be outside of the organization, anybody outside of the organization. And I know that at one point in time that there was definitely like, certain browsers, non-team users had to be on. And I think some people had certain issues with like using iPhones versus other phones. I don't know, have they worked through that, or there's still certain limitations?
No, the applications, great question. So the applications have really, really improved. So I use Teams when I'm in the field. I use it exhaustively on my phone, and everything syncs very nicely over. And I've joined meetings and calls from that as well. I also use it on my iPad, and the same experience. It feels on the phone. Obviously, they've condensed some of the functions, but it feels just like what you would get from your desktop. And if you think about the use cases, if you're talking about your team collaboration and doing messaging and that sort of stuff, it's a great and very easy place to start using. And I find it much better than trying to do everything by email, especially because of the way that you build a thread. But for external users, creating a Teams meeting and having them join it is very seamless and works very well. So if you're I think Chin and I were talking at the top of the hour about the cost. So if you're already an Office 365 subscriber, Teams is included, and Zoom would be you would pay an additional fee to have Zoom available. So if you already have Teams, you could make use of that. If you're not an Office 365 subscriber, Zoom offers a lot of features within their paid environment, including chat and file storage and the things that are available in Teams. So you kind of have to decide which platform that you want to focus upon. So I know I said a lot more than you asked there, but hopefully that was useful as well.
If I may say, in one way, I kind of wish that Zoom never existed, because then it would be a lot easier to get people onto Teams. I saw the power of Teams when we first migrated. We just migrated last year, the year before last year in December. We migrated over from Exchange on-premise to Office 365. And as soon as we got that, I was a big proponent of it right up front, because I saw the power of Teams, and I saw all these on YouTube, all these, they were really promoting it, and you had these big conferences where you had top executives at the conference. And I said, this must be a big product the collaboration tool, and that was new to us back then, but still Zoom was so intuitive and easy to use, and we had to make that quick switch. And so there was, to use Teams, we would have had to have like training time, time to get
Yeah.
stuff up to speed, and we didn't have that kind of time. We had to pivot really quick, and that's why we went with Zoom. And once you're on a platform, it's very difficult to get users to change.
Yeah, the timing last year for Zoom was really fortunate for them, because Microsoft Teams was not prepared to be like a B2C
Yes.
or even a personal use tool. But
Yes.
Zoom just, with the exception of some of their encryption and, the Zoom bombing and the different missteps that they had at the beginning, they were really just well positioned for it. And so I want to just share my screen one more time and just show you my, I'm going to move over to my business teams, and you can see, how this is built out. So we have a main team here, and prior to COVID, we were really only using Teams for direct private messaging. So we were only using the chat function. So we built this out for the people that continued to work during COVID, and then added different channels accordingly. So here's our commencement one that I mentioned before, and the ability for us to upload files into here and have this is our main project grid that everybody can get from wherever they are in the world on their PC or their mobile, and see all of the work that's going on, and collaborate on this file. So, you won't understand really what's going on here, but we're doing commencement for Fairfield University, if that matters to you. So everybody can sign on and work on those files, and they're all stored in one place. Microsoft leverages their SharePoint for this. So as an Office 365 subscriber, we get a lot of these things. These two folders here are, you can see the little lock. So they're private. So these are conversations that only the people that I have invited to that channel can see and have dialogue on. And then this particular team is connected to several internal and external people who collaborate on our marketing. And we've created different files and structures, so you can actually create folders within your file structure and see all of that work, and again, collaborate within that. So in moving over for us in deploying and moving out to Teams, we really built a great way to collaborate, and we could put information into Teams and go back and search it and get sort of instant answers instead of the email back and forth.
This might be a silly question. Can you record the meetings like you can on Zoom?
Yep.
And
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Does it stay in there, or what's the length of time that the thread will stay in there? Do you know?
Everything stays indefinitely. An individual user can delete their message, but I can't delete somebody else's message. I can go back and edit mine or delete mine. If somebody has replied, only their reply will stay. My piece of the thread will disappear, or it'll say this message has been deleted or edited. But yeah, it stays forever. And because we've really only been on it for really a year, we're not taking up any space at all with this. And I haven't had to look into what it would take to prune this back. I think I mentioned how you can control the people that join the actual team. So if you have, from a department standpoint, and this will be more obvious when you see this now with a bunch of people, so these are the people that I have added. I have myself and my office manager as owners of this particular team. and then everybody else is added as a member. And I can add and remove them very easily from this, and then they won't be able to see or contribute to it. So as we've added staff, I can add them to this. There's some people that are working here part-time that are not part of this channel. So we can instant message them, but they can't see anything in this particular team. Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't sharing my screen there. Oh my goodness. Let me just go back and show you that one more time. All right, so here is my team, and I have clicked on Manage Team, so you can see that I've got myself and my office manager as the owners here, and then all of my staff are listed below, and it's very easy to add additional people. Simply type in their email address and click go.
You also alluded to costs, the difference between that and Zoom. Can you just speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, so Office 365 pricing starts at in the enterprise. I want to say it starts at like $9 per user per month, and that gives you online applications only. So you're doing everything in a browser, and for many people, that's perfectly fine. They don't need anything else. It's sort of like using Google. As you increase the features and that includes all of your applications. So you get Word, Excel, PowerPoint, you get Teams, you get file sharing in SharePoint. So all of those things are included in that fundamental base cost. If you move up to using the full desktop versions of the applications, and there's a couple of other add-ons that you get with it, I think that the price is around $20 or $24 per person per month. And the contract with Microsoft, I believe the first 12 months is a commit where you purchase a number of licenses, you're committing for that 12 months. After that renewal period, everybody's on a month to month. So you can scale up and scale down depending on the needs of your business, or change the licensing. So we have a blend of certain people have the full license pack with the desktop applications, and some people have the online only. So there's a way that you can kind of balance your costs.
Does that include the phone app?
Nope, the telephony, so actual 9-digit dialing is a separate add-on, and I'm not familiar with the pricing on that.
Okay. I didn't mean that. I meant the Teams app. That's what I meant.
Oh, so that's a really great point. So the free version of Teams and the base level Office 365 level of Teams uses computer audio only. There's no telephone dial-up. So your remote, anybody who's joining your meetings remotely has to do it either through a browser or through the Teams app in order to join the audio on the call. And for most people, that's not a big deal. But if you're on a data plan, now you're consuming data as opposed to telephony. So yeah, the dial-up numbers are an additional cost on Microsoft Teams. Great question, thank you.
Don, I had a quick question as far as, because I know you can create a Teams meeting either through the Teams app, but also through the Outlook calendar. And
Yep.
what I haven't, and unfortunately, there's only like 2 of us that really use Teams more than just video calling. Everybody in our organization just uses video calling. And I know they still do it through Outlook. They create their meetings and stuff through Outlook. Is there a way to, because I know when you do it in Teams, you can add like a channel. So then that meeting is like connected to that specific channel. Can you do that in Outlook if you create the meeting through Outlook?
I don't think that you you would need to originate it in the channel. Let me see if there's an option for that, because you can.
I feel like I can get people to select a channel if that's an option, a little easier than getting them to start creating meetings in teams first. So
Yeah. That's a great question. I've never had to do that. So that I don't see it as a setting in Outlook. So I've got to go with no, you would have to originate that in Microsoft Teams in order to enable that.
got it. Thank you.
No problem. So I think that Chin will understand what she was asking about, but for Joe and Margaret, what she was saying is that you can have a meeting that is associated with a specific channel in Teams, and while you're on the meeting, you can add notes and chat and files, and they stay persistent in that channel. So now in that channel, there's a record of that meeting. You can record it if you want, so people can go back and watch it. And now there's this text-based or file-based narrative that goes along with that meeting as well. So you can keep a record, especially if you're in a business that requires records for every meeting. You can keep everything in one place, and then the people that missed it can go back and get those notes.
Also,
I see Joe thinking it's hard to imagine what you could possibly do with that. And I'll get to you in a second, Chin. We did some training for a university, and we set up a Teams environment and added that training meeting to the Teams channel. So all of their staff were part of that. We hosted the training, and then when the meeting was over, it was still there. We were a guest in their channel, and the faculty could continue to send messages and say, hey, I forgot to ask this question, or, hey, can you give me a call about this? And those messages would then pop up within my Teams, so we can continue to collaborate. Sorry, go ahead, Chin.
Yeah, along the same lines, I wanted to know if about, like, can you associate an email with the particular channel that you create,
You can
or a distribution group? Yes.
Yeah, you can create an email address such that internal and external users can send an email to that channel, and the message will be delivered as an email. At that point, the people who are members of that channel will get an alert that the message has been part of it. So yes, you can create that email address.
The members of that channel, but not other people who are not members, even
That's
though they're
correct.
in your organization. Right?
Correct.
Okay, so they have to be in the channel. Okay.
Yeah, so that's where if you create a team or a channel that is invitation only, only those people will get it, right? If you leave it public until a person has joined that particular channel, they won't get alerts that there's a message in that channel. Yeah, and the alerts for Teams can be a little bit wonky in going back and seeing what was the recent activity to know that there's a message that I need to act upon. Chat is the easiest, and they've only just recently, I think it was the March release, Teams allowed you to go back to a message and mark it as unread. So prior to that, you couldn't. If you clicked on the message and you read it, you're like, oh crap, I need to do something on that, but I can't do it now. So you can go back and mark it unread. Yes, Marcy.
I was just wondering, is there a way to like generate a report of activity in a like video call to see like who was on it and how long, when they got on it, when they got off? Because I know Zoom has that ability.
Yes, there is a report for those video meetings. I will admit I don't use that very often, so I'd actually have to look up how to get it. But yes, you can.
Thank you.
All right. I love the questions. I love the interactivity. So I'm here for you if you have other things that you'd like to discuss. Jody, does the current use Teams?
Yeah, we've been using Teams pretty much from the beginning. Like someone else has said, occasionally I would use Zoom with folks outside the company, but I've actually gotten away from that because I think many know now that Teams is not that difficult if you don't use it all the time, especially if it's just a normal kind of meeting. So yeah, I've been using it for a while, just trying to, like some of the tricks you've showed, trying to learn how to use it more efficiently, as I'm hoping to use it less and less as things open up. But I realize that there's still some advantages to Teams, no matter what happens with the virus.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Donald, this is Margaret. I have a question. When you happen to do a training session for a university, did you invite them to your Microsoft Team account, or did they set up something for you as an external user in theirs?
We've done both. So for one of the training sessions, I hosted that Teams meeting and they all joined the meeting, and then that chat became persistent. In the other setting, it was the other way around, where one of the deans set up the meeting and we were invited as an external user. So it does work both ways.
Did you find any challenges when the dean invited you as far as control over your sharing of slides or PowerPoint?
No, and it's funny that you asked that, because the entire purpose of the session was how their faculty could use Teams to host. They were doing open houses, so how their faculty could host an open house, share their content, manage their guest participants, because they were working with non-active students. So they were all guests, right? So there's people that are people visiting the campus virtually, and they would join the team to be able to meet with the faculty. And no, I didn't have any issues with that. We went over the particular settings in the team meeting for how to kind of manage that content.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. And if you reach out to me, I can share with you that PowerPoint that I use to teach them, which goes over how to use those functions. I'm happy to do that.
Great, I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, okay. I do want to share two more quick things. So for educational resources, here is a company that does a really great job, and I'm going to put this in the chat for everybody. They do a really great job of their webinars and training, and they have one coming up at the end of the month for Microsoft Teams, and you can see the little orange register. Am I sharing? I am. Okay. So Microsoft Teams engagement. The company they teach facilitation, but they do a really good job of talking about using the platform and getting the most from it. So if you're interested in more training, it's a free webinar. Unfortunately, you'll get bombarded with emails and stuff from them afterwards, but they do a really, really great job of that. And then the last thing that I want to share is this link. Sorry. I'm going to put this in the chat here for you guys too. If you need more information about Microsoft Teams and get a good overview of the capabilities and features and how to get started, Microsoft maps it all out. Frankly, it's a little dry. You got to kind of spend some time navigating, but they do cover almost every single feature that you can imagine in the software. So a couple of really great links there for you to get the most out of Microsoft Teams. All right, Joanna, it's 5 of.
All right.
How do we chewed through an hour? I can't believe it.
Fantastic. Well, there was excellent questions and excellent answers. So we do appreciate you guys taking the time today. We will definitely send out the links to you after, along with the presentation. So you guys have that as well. Don's great. We'll give you his contact information. He has been fabulous with members when they reach out with specific questions. So he's really responsive to that. So thank you for joining us. Enjoy a little bit of the sunshine today if you can. You know, I look forward to doing this in person, hopefully, so we don't have to keep talking about Teams and Zoom. I can't wait for that. But thank you again for joining us. And Don, thank you as always. And I'll be in touch about those cameras.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm a resource. Email me. I'm happy to help.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you,
All
Don.
right. Have a great
Thank
day,
you,
everyone.
Joanna.
Have a great
Thank
day,
you, everyone.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye.